Sports Talk Chicago. Here with Jon Zaghloul, and we are back and ready for today's special guest. He's the former director of college scouting for the Chicago Bears and a contributor to the Barroom Network. Please welcome Greg Gabriel to the program. Greg, great to have you on. How are you?
I'm real good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being back here on the program. What do you make of the Bears-Browns game, first off?
It's preseason game, so you can't get all excited. I mean, both sides had some key players out. Funny thing is that when I get on Twitter or something, I see that, like 3 or 4 key Brown starters were out. Well, hell, 3 or 4 key Bear starters out too. Maybe more than that. It worked on both sides. They won the game, though, and when the top players were in, they dominated the game. I think they played really well and improved from week to week during the preseason. I like the way Justin played. Really only played with Mooney, I don't think played much. And EQ played a little bit more. Otherwise, he didn't have his full complement of wide receivers in there. Running game was good. I'll tell you what's odd. I just saw a thing on Twitter. Ian Rappaport just reported that Teven Jenkins still might get traded. I don't get this at all. He may be the best lineman they have. So I don't get what's going on at all.
What makes him the best lineman, in your opinion, on the Bears roster?
Well, I haven't seen Patrick play this year for the Bears. He played damn good for Green Bay last year. And actually, for the amount they paid for him, it's a steal. Just the way he's only played guard a couple of weeks, and just the way he's acclimated to the position, and he's so damn physical. So the talent is there to just keep getting better and better. And I like the way he goes after people and finishes people. If there's something going on behind the scenes, we're never going to find out about it. So who knows? And maybe these rumors are all just BS.
What do you think the problem could be here? If anything, if you had any idea?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know. I mean, is the coaches have seemed to be positive about him since he stepped into the lineup. So I don't get where this is coming from, unless it's coming from people that hope he's on the trade market, and and they're calling back. It works both ways on that. So I don't know. It's very confusing to me. There's nobody they have right now they could put in that spot and play as good as him.
Greg Gabriel here on Sports Talk Chicago. Very big endorsement from you about that. And it sounds like you're very confident in that. What do you think he's going to do this season if he stays with the Bears?
I think he's going to get better every game. The more, there's an adjustment. You're seeing things a little bit different from the inside than you are from the outside. You're not on an island, so to speak, like you are at tackle. But you've got to be more aware of like loop stunts and blitzes than you are at the outside. So it's more that type of thing than from the physical standpoint. Except for the very first play set where he, made good contact on a pull, but then just didn't finish it. And except for that play, he played really well. And the week before, I only had one play with a minus on it. And so, I think that the film speaks for itself, but why there's this stuff out there, who knows? If he gets traded in the next few days, maybe they'll say something. I don't know.
How do you compare this offensive line for the Bears right now compared to last season? How much better is it right now for Justin Fields in this offense?
Well, it's a lot better. And part of it is these guys are a lot lighter. Juan Castillo wanted these big, huge elephants playing, and a lot of them were too heavy for their frames. They didn't have movement skills, or the movement skills they should have. And I just think that it hurt them from an individual basis. And they weren't in the condition probably they should have been because of that. Now, I think Mustafer's like 20 pounds lighter than he was a year ago, and played a lot better in the preseason. I saw where Jenkins is like 310, 311, where he was over 330 last year. I don't know what Borum is, but they're all looking a lot better and moving a lot better, and you have to do that to play in this outside zone scheme.
What's this all going to mean for Justin Fields and his protection this season?
It's you go back and you look at Saturday, and the protection was pretty darn good. Now, yeah, their two defensive ends weren't in, but so what? You only can block who you can block. The guys are in front of you, and they did a good job with those guys. They got a tough guy coming up in 2 weeks in Bosa, who's one of the best edge rushers in the league. And I'm sure they'll put him on the defensive right side. So he's going against Braxton Jones. If Braxton hasn't gotten an education from Quinn, he's going to get one from Bosa. And there'll be some breakdowns. It'll be his first real game. But I like the way he has grown. There's some good talent here, and they lucked out. I personally thought Braxton Jones had third round talent, but he came from a lower level of comp, and he more than held his own at the Senior Bowl, but that's all you saw him as far as being against top quality players. So that might have pushed him down a little bit, but his combine workout was pretty darn good from an athletic point. I think right now he's a steal, and the best football is still way out in front. So I like the group as is. When Patrick gets in there, it's going to be even better. Whether he is able to play, if he had hurt his left thumb, he'd be playing right now, but it's his right thumb and you got to snap. And so until he's ready to do that, and that could be this week, might be next week, or it might not be till game 2. When they don't have to issue a practice report until next week as far as injuries. So you're not going to know anything until next week.
Greg, what do you make of Justin Fields and his progress? If this offensive line holds up and some guys are going to be emerging offensively, how big of a jump could we expect from him?
I think, John, that really remains to be seen. You can have a huge jump if you're playing with confidence, and success breeds confidence. So they got to start off well. Now, personally, I think they're going to beat the 49ers. And I said it on my show just a little while ago. They played them pretty even a year ago. And now they got Trey Lance coming in. I'm not one of these people that was sold on Trey Lance being a top 5 pick. I know the talent, but I know that when you only played 3 years of college football, and the third year was one game. So and that's because of the COVID pandemic. So he doesn't have a lot of experience, really ran a run-dominated offense. I watched him a little bit in the preseason. He struggled. I'm not saying he doesn't have talent, but is he ready to take the reins as a number 1 quarterback? And being as inexperienced as he is, I come from a old school, growing up in scouting. My first main coach that I worked with was Bill Parcells. And Bill had this theory, along with a lot of people in the league then, that a college quarterback had to throw 800-900 passes to be ready for the National Football League. Trey Lance had like quarter, not no more than that, third, but probably half of that in his career. And plus, he was playing at the FCS level, not at the major college level. So, and you got mid-major level too, so he's down 2 levels of comp. And a guy like Justin Fields, he played at the highest level and got to a national championship game, but yet this guy was, by the experts, was rated higher. I don't get that, but hey, it is what it is. But I think he's gonna have a good season. I think the wide receiver core, if they're healthy, is a lot better than people are giving them credit for. So we'll find out fairly shortly within the next really not till Wednesday. If some of these guys are going to go on IR and they want to bring them back, that can't happen until Wednesday. So we'll find out that, and that could be on both sides of the ball. If guys like N'Keal Harry or whatever are going to end up on injured reserve this year, or at least for part of the year, or be here from the get-go.
How do you plan on judging Fields this year?
Everybody says, "Oh, some wins and losses." No, I think it's, does he read the field better? Does he get the ball out of his hand? Is he more accurate? He's gotten the ball out of his hand faster in the preseason. He's made some really good throws. All 3 of those throws. The first touchdown pass that he threw to Griffin, he looked off. Now, part of that was Equanimeous St. Brown ran a great route, pulled the corner. The corner came up to get him, thinking he was going to run it out, and then he cuts back to an in route, and that opened it up for Griffin, not having that corner sliding back into that 3 deep position. But at the same time, when you see the end zone copy of that tape, he looked him off really well. He was looking to the left and came back to the right, or looking to the right, came back to the left when he made that throw. You could say he could have thrown it a split second sooner. When Griffin was coming out of the break, that's if you want to nitpick. Same thing with Kmet. It was wide open. It was a touchdown, but you could say could have thrown it a little bit sooner. And really the same thing with the touchdown pass to Pettis, because Pettis ran a really good route, planted fake to the inside like he was going to do a post or a crossing route, and then did the flag route and really got separation right away off his fake. He could have thrown the ball right when he was making the break. He waited a little bit, but the coaches are going to say that to him. He's going to see it when he watches the tape, and that's how you get better. You keep seeing things, and he's already a lot better. He's tightened his release, and I think that's a big thing, because he had that big hitch at the top of his release, and that took a lot of time because he dropped the ball and then would go like this. Now he does it a little bit, but it's not. I'm going to say it's 75% better than it was a year ago, because it's not anywhere near as pronounced.
And it sounds like, based on what you're saying, the Bears wide receiving core, like you said earlier, won't be as bad as people think. You're giving them a lot of praise, and rightfully so, based on how the preseason has gone.
Yeah, and you haven't seen, Harry's been hurt with a high ankle sprain. Pringle, who I like, I'm glad they got Pringle. I liked him at Kansas City last year. He hasn't played because of that quad problem. Now, they don't have to disclose injuries. They aren't disclosing what we know. It's a quad problem. Don't know if it's a tear, don't know if it's a pull, don't know if it's a deep bruise or what. And so he hasn't practiced. And if he doesn't practice this week, he could be a candidate to go on IR for 4 weeks and then have to miss the first 4 games. So I agree with them not saying what the issues are, But at the same time, as fans, we're sitting back there, okay, who's going to be playing? So are they going to bring in another guy? I think that will be determined by the health of who's here and how long they're going to be out. And if they're ready to go, I don't think Harry will be ready. But if the other guys are ready to go, they might not bring in anybody at that position. It's tough to bring in a receiver because unless he's played in this system or scheme before, knows the terminology, it's going to take him 2 or 3 weeks to get up to date and feel comfortable within the system and be able to play at full speed. Well, hell, by that time, your guys who are hurt are going to be fine. So does it help you to actually bring in a guy who actually can't help you right off the bat? And that's a question they have to answer.
What do you expect out of the Bears this year?
Oh, I don't think they're going to challenge for a playoff spot. I expect them. Were they 6 wins last year?
Right.
I think they go 8 wins this year. I'm not anywhere, and maybe even 9. Maybe they break just over the 500 mark. I think the defense is going to be outstanding. They played great in the preseason. There's and without doing anything besides vanilla defense, and I just think that there's no reason why they can't. The one thing that impressed me more than anything, and nobody from the media talks about it, this team wasn't penalized the whole preseason. And in preseason, that's remarkable. And that tells you that's a testament to the coaches and how disciplined they have got these guys playing. First half, when the number ones were in there, 1 penalty, and that was the holding call on Griffin. That's remarkable.
Greg Gabriel still here on Sports Talk Chicago. Greg, a few more questions before we finish up. First off, what's your process in determining how good a player is as a scout?
First of all, he's got to have the traits to play the position. Then, if you're looking now, are you asking me that if I'm going on the road and looking at a college player?
Yes.
Well, okay, then he's got to dominate. I mean, he's got to win a lot more than he loses, depending on the position. If he's a receiver, he's got to be able. He's got to have speed right off the bat. Receiver can be a very tough position to scout because you got a lot of guys that have great production, but that doesn't necessarily translate to the National Football League because they just don't have the natural traits. And you've got to have speed. You got to have flexibility in your hips, be able to break down to get in and out of a cut quickly and gain separation. You got to have obviously good hands, but not only good hands, got to adjust to the ball very well and have that upper body flexibility to have what we call a big or a large receiving radius. Be able to make the back shoulder catches, climb the ladder for the high balls, extend for the balls out in front of you, that type of thing. Lineman, I'm looking at an offensive lineman, it starts with a stance. And because you're always getting, when you're doing lineman, you always want to look at the tight copy. So you're seeing it from the end zone. And you want to see, this is me anyway, this is how I do it. Everybody's probably got their own way. But the first thing I look at is the stance. And is he comfortable in the stance, especially if it's a 3-point stance? Or because you can see if he's got tightness in his hips or his knees, you can see it right away when he gets in that 3-point stance. And you see his legs sometimes bow out, or his butt is up too high or whatever, or he doesn't have the heel of his feet flat on the ground. Shows if his feet are up, could show ankle tightness. And so it's just little things that you look for. Then how he comes off the ball. Does he come off low and gradually rise, or does he stand up right away? When he's playing, is he a knee bender or a waist bender? You want a knee bender, not a waist bender. How explosive is he through contact? And once he makes contact, does he keep driving his feet, or does he stop his feet and restart? Pass pro, you want to look at his punch, his ability to move laterally, change weight, come back the other way, and do it very smoothly and quickly. So how he uses his hands, part of that with hand use is coaching. So you can't ding them too much. I see guys on tape where the whole offensive line, they drop back in pass protection and they got their hands out like this. And well, you can't see it on there, but they got their hands out way wide and then they bring them in. I mean, to me, that's wasted motion. You want to see their hands inside and punch from the inside and not get their hands on the outside of the framework of their opponent's body.
What's the best assessment you've ever made of talent?
I don't know. That's too hard a question to ask. I mean, you get some right. I get a lot right. I know that. You get some wrong, and then you go from there. And then I worked for close to 35 years in the league, so I know I did something right to do that long. I mean, as a group, in the 9 years we were running the draft here, we had 12 Pro Bowlers we drafted. So I'll compare that to anybody.
Greg, before we finish up today, last question. The funniest draft day interview you've been a part of was what?
Draft day? I don't know.
Combine interview too. Combine interview.
Oh God. John, we used to tape them when I was here. And sometimes it was comical. So, but the funniest one was a guy, and I'm not going to mention his name. Can I use off language on this thing?
You can. That's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to quote
Sure.
the guy. So we had, at the Holiday Inn, it's Crown Plaza now they call it, in Indy. So all the players and each team has a room on the first floor, and there's a big courtyard that the rooms open up to. So it's easy to get from one room to the next. And kids go from one room to the next. So every team has got it in that one specified area. So as one kid comes in our room, we had there's myself, Jerry Angelo, Lovey, the guy who was taping the interview, the area scout, the position scout, and the coordinator. So this was a defensive back. And he comes in and he's talking, and all of a sudden he just drops over in his chair, leans forward, like there's something wrong with him, or he got sick or something. And Jerry jumps up, says, "You all right?" He goes, "I think I just got bit by a motherfucking scorpion." And it's like, we all started laughing, because a scorpion in Indianapolis in the middle of January, okay, or the middle of February. It was just, that one sticks out. There were a couple others, but I'll leave those for another day.
Wait, was he actually bit by a scorpion, or was he lying?
No, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't bit by a scorpion, that's for damn sure. It was just weird, I guess is the best way to do it, because of he looked like he was dying for a second, and then but just the words that came out of his mouth and the mannerisms were just funny.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure to have you on. Best wishes for your show in the barroom, and as this season gets going, looking forward to connecting again soon, too.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.